Hello, welcome to class 2. I'm excited about today. It was good stuff. Doing the chart. How's everyone's charts looking?
It's really long.
See? Oh my gosh, you're amazing, Amanda. That's so great. Oh my
Oh, Catalina one. Yeah, that's amazing.
Catalina, are you kidding? Did you tape papers together?
Yeah, because I started with one and one wasn't enough, and then I went to two and two wasn't enough. And then I went to three and three wasn't enough, and so now I'm at four.
Oh my gosh, that is
I'll,
amazing.
I'll share. I'll share.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting.
That's fascinating. Jolene, how did it go for you?
I have to admit, I didn't realize I forgot we had homework. I got caught up with the legendary stuff.
Oh yeah, that was all.
I played all weekend with some of the friends that stayed, and she left this morning, and I'm like, holy crap, I haven't done anything.
Okay, so share your wins. So what are some wins that you had this week?
My
Two
wins. So I went to an event. The group is called Legendary. I went to a legendary seminar, and it's personal growth. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Reminded myself of connecting to myself, reminded myself that I can work through all of this grief, and there's that light on the other side of the tunnel. Met new friends, spent time with friends, and had a great time. So that was my wins. And I did get to hug Paige, so I cheated a little bit.
So fun. Oh, I was at the same event and it was so wonderful. So yeah, talk about a soul-filling week. That's wonderful. It's a big win. Laura, your little one broke her nose?
No, she broke her nose.
No, it's dark in here, but she almost broke my nose.
Oh.
I was hugging her from behind and we were on the bed, and then she just went pow, like right into my, you can see it kind of, but
you can.
Yeah, doesn't feel good. My whole face hurts.
Yeah.
That is so awful.
Are you sure it's not broken?
Yeah, I went to see an ENT. And he looked at it. He said I can come back in about a week or two once the swelling goes down to make sure it's not broken, but it wasn't a big break, if anything. But yeah, I mean, I heard it crack like when she hit me, and I was like screaming, and then she was crying, and yeah, but their head's hard and they're fine, you know.
I know.
Like she's fine. So
your face isn't. Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah.
Okay, what's one or two wins?
Something. Well, and I got to have a session with Paige yesterday. I got my listing that I had last week under contract on Saturday. So within a day, it was under contract with multiple offers. My clients got what they wanted, which was awesome. And I have a new buyer client that I met because of another listing that I had, and she said that I had good energy.
Yeah,
baby. So she decided to work with me. I was like, yeah, okay, cool. And I have another one going live this week, so I'm a little bit frustrated, of course, that this is like all happened, and I was trying to get it all done today, but it'll happen.
It'll happen. Oh, wow. Well, you are a rock star. Big star eyes. I use too many of those star eye emojis. Now I want to do it.
I like that one.
It's my favorite. Amanda, tell us your wins for the week.
Well, I would have to say that even just writing down and really like deep, diving into deep thought around what I'm feeling grief about, it has given me relief. Like when you first brought up the idea and I was like, well, how do you know? There's so much things that I can pick from this. And then I kept thinking about them, and the one that like stung the most, I was like, okay, that's what I'm doing. And then just as I'm like thinking it through and going over it and, talking about it to a friend who has mutual understanding, I already feel like it doesn't sting as much. And I was able to even communicate with one of the sources in that situation with total ease. And I feel like comfort in my situation. I feel like not so chaotic around it. And I just feel like, wow, this is what I'm doing, and I'm totally satisfied with the situation. So that's a super huge win, because before then it was just really chaotic and really just indecisive. And what about this? What about this? And we drive yourself nuts with those thoughts, and I don't feel like that at all anymore. I just feel, and I'm like, I haven't even done the whole thing yet. This is so cool.
That's incredible. Like how beautiful that that you can have that already, like experience the power of this process. I was actually just talking to my friend about it, but it's like it's so powerful, and it's one of those things like I think there's fundamentally about 5 or 10 things that really stop us and get us in our way from being where we're going to get. Like as a coach, I have people come to me, and within about a few minutes I can identify which of the 5 or 10 like major issues we're dealing with. Do you know what I mean? It's usually about 5. One of them is grief, though, and a lot of people don't understand that or know that, and they don't recognize, like, there's just so many myths, like the myths that we talked about last week. They're so real, and there's like you don't really realize that that's the underlying thing. But the ones, it's like getting diagnosed, it's like I would way rather know that I have cancer and feel awful than like feel awful and have no idea what's wrong with it, right? Like you're just in this like, but as soon as you get the diagnosis and you're like, oh, and there's a method, there's like medication, like this is the medication, it works. So I love that testimonial, like this stuff works, just trust the process. But it really, like, it's so freeing when you're willing to do it. So thank you, Amanda. That's awesome.
Can I ask you, what are the other 5 things?
Oh, I'm compiling them. I mean, it's like the drama triangle. They're either in victimhood or savior mentality or perpetrator, they're usually it has something to do with lack of forgiveness of some sort, or choosing love over fear. Like there's just kind of, for me, I can usually find it's usually some sort of like parts integration, where they have some sort of part that is throwing a hissy fit. So having a temper tantrum, or in the fetal position, or protecting them from something. So it's some sort of, I usually find like it's usually one of these 5 things, but I'll put it into more. I'm figuring this out as I'm going through all of it. I was going through it last night actually on a date, and I was like, there's basically 5 things. He's like, what are they? I'm like, I came up with 4 of them, but I started with 10, and then I'm like, actually, I don't think there's even 10. I think there's like 5. So, yeah. Okay, Kelsey, welcome. What are your wins this week?
So I got to be part of a constellations over the weekend, and that was huge. Can you hear me? You can
Yeah.
hear me, right?
Yeah. Constellations are amazing. Does everyone know what they are? Just explain it really quick.
So essentially, it's called family constellations, and it's one of my best friends asked me to be a part of hers, to play a part. Essentially, our psyche we have a lot of parts, as you guys are probably aware of that part, right? And in constellations, essentially, you take its time, sacred time and space, to have people in your life play one of those parts. And then it's an opportunity for those parts of you to work through the pain, whatever problems that you're facing in your psyche, to heal through Ho'oponopono. And so it's really freaking like, so all the people that come in don't know the part they're playing. They just volunteer. I'm here to represent. They don't know what they're doing. They don't get told till after. and we end up playing out these parts, and it's like sometimes it's bizarre. You just don't even know what's coming over you, and you just gotta like flow with it and just move through it and be really present. So cool on a number of levels for me. I think number one, I helped myself see myself.
Yeah.
And address my own stuff, because that's how it also works, is when you represent, you also are, you're also working on a part of yourself that resonates, with your friends. And so I also kind of learned about a gift I have.
Yeah.
I Everybody was like shocked at what I did. And it was really cool. I haven't really talked about it yet, but I think I'm still integrating. But it was huge for me for so many levels. And so I'm gonna explore that. Like, what is the universe trying to show me here?
Yeah.
I realized it's like a really cool area that I have a gift in. So that was really cool. And I also have my second one is grace for my body. The facilitator, her name is Shannon. Do you know? Oh my gosh, she also is Allison Armstrong
Oh my
teacher.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so cool. I am doing one in May, but if you know anything about IFS, which is a lot of the kind of work that I do with parts work and hypnotherapy, the idea is that we, just like government has different parts, the president and the parliament, well, I'm Canadian, so parliament and all the different parts. And then a family has a mom and a dad and grandpa and grandma and aunts and uncles. And we have all these different parts. Even a leaf has its different parts that make it whole. And our psyche has different parts that make us whole. And so when I've done it, it's actually been family members. Like you go in and I represent your mother, and Brooke represents the father, and someone else represents money, and someone else represents the daughter. And so then you just go, and everyone just starts playing out their parts without any, just intuitively. So it's a real gift in like learning, because I walked in like, I don't know what I'm doing at all, but I was totally in alignment with exactly how that character in their family had been through the whole thing. So these parts get to dance in this like intuitive dance and the person that's having the constellation done gets to watch and see what's going on from like a overall perspective and go, oh, that's what she felt. And this is what she's saying. And that's what's actually going on, rather than just being in the middle of it and going like, I don't know what's going on. So anyway, we could geek out on that a long time, but I love that you did that. And it is a place to really discover your gifts. I've been unconditional love, and I found like these healing gifts that I never knew I had, like it's really cool.
That's what I was. I was divine love.
Oh, that's the best one. Every time I was like, Chrissy, every time I do it, I want to be divine love or unconditional love. Like, give me that role every time. It was so fun.
Oh my gosh, Paige. What came out of me was like shocking though. It's really interesting because it was related to what everything she'd been they just kept looking at each other, her and her husband, and he was like, gosh, like mind blown. But anger was huge. And so it was interesting because it was sacred anger,
Yeah.
And it was the kind of anger that will help stop bad patterns, like interestingly enough.
That's really cool. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got Catalina, which I want you to go last because I want you to move right into sharing your chart. Brooke, are you on? If she's not, then we'll just keep moving on. But I'm so excited about this. So this week, our home play was to do our charts. And Catalina, can you show your chart again? This is magnificent. Watch it. It's coming. It's coming. Okay, we're coming into view. Yep, it's still going. It's still going. It's still going. It's still going. Amazing. Okay, so I am officially handing the baton over to Catalina because she has officially become the master of this class, and I honor you in how you've taken this on. And
I-
what was your process? And go, just share. Like, what the heck? That's amazing.
So this is my win.
That's
Okay.
a huge
To start
one.
there. Okay. So I need everybody to take a deep breath.
Oh, also, do you have any other wins? Because we want to share your wins and celebrate you.
Well, yesterday was tax day, so
And you got it all done.
I'm officially done with that part. So now I can get back to a routine and, and now the next 3 months are doing what I didn't do the last 3 months. So, but it's not like deadline heavy. So
Yeah. I got my taxes in too yesterday. So literally yesterday, but I got it in. So hallelujah. Thank you, everyone. I'm celebrating that too.
And I did have friends call and say, oh, I'm doing it today. And I'm not helping.
Yeah, like,
I'm not
sorry, you waited too long.
Not my problem, not my business. Sorry.
Right? It's
I should
powerful.
like it's God's business, your business, and my business. Like with so many people yesterday. And I said, let me just explain this one thing. And it's not my business that you waited till now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not my business. But
Yeah.
it hasn't ever been like that. In the past, I would try to help.
Yeah.
And I'd be stressed and upset and everything else. And I went, no, it's not my business. They waited, they knew it's not my business.
Freedom.
Silent extension, we'll figure it out, okay, great. But
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything.
Yeah. The
So that
extension's
was
like $30. It's no big deal.
huge win, huge win. So, okay, now everybody take a deep breath. Okay, because I'm going to say something I've never said before. Okay, and then I need you to breathe after I say it. Okay, I'm a hoarder. Everybody take a deep breath. Okay, so about a year ago, I started with 100 boxes. And I've been attempting with good intentions and, all kinds of goodwill and everything else to go through the 100 boxes. And I maybe have gotten through half. I don't know. But going through the boxes was like ripping the skin off of myself. And it's like everybody says, oh, just do this. Oh, just do that, blah, 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 blah. And it was hurtful. It was just anything that anybody said was hurtful, including the ones who called me a hoarder. And I that was the most hurtful at all because they didn't help.
Mhm.
My chart, I have moved 49 times.
Wow.
49. So I started with one page and did the thing. And it was like, no, I'm going like, oh yeah, I live there. Oh yeah, I live there. Oh, wait, okay. Oh, let's do 2 pages. Oh, I live there. Oh, I live there. Oh, I live there. You know what? I remember living there. Oh, I had that roommate. I had that roommate. Oh, okay. So then I went to 3 and I finally got to the 4. And I went, well, like, no wonder.
Yeah.
Hoarding is the grief, and it's also familiar. Those things are the only thing that are familiar when you move that much.
Yeah.
So, and I'm going like, oh, that's why I can't even open the boxes.
Mhm.
I got 49. This is the biggest thing. I mean, there's divorces and marriages and bankruptcies and everything else on here, not as big as the 49 moves. 49. I'm 71, you guys.
Wow.
The longest I ever lived anywhere was 6 years.
Wow.
And that's when I was in high school.
Wow.
And I'm at 5 years right now in this place.
Mm.
I'm not moving ever again. I'm going out in a coffin, guys. That's it. That's the only way I'm going. That thing, I worked all day Sunday on this.
Wow.
And as I kept going and adding and kept adding and adding and adding and going like, I can't, I'm in disbelief about the reality of it. But once I got that, I went, oh, yes, I can actually say I'm hoarding, but I now know why, because that's actually the safer thing to do,
Right. Yeah.
right? Those things are safe. They do hurt me because they're still here, but they don't hurt me like the people that hurt me, or the moving that hurt me, or the change that hurt me, or the unresolved grief that's hurt me. They're just familiar. Yes, they're in the way. Yes, I would like to get rid of them, but I get to the point where I'm just powerless in the moment of opening a box. I open a box and I go, oh no.
Yeah. This
And then I go,
resist.
oh, I'll do this instead. Oh, yep, nope. I'll throw like one thing away. And then it just like I'm so upset about the whole thing. And I'm going like, and it's not about the things. It's
Mhm.
not about the things, right?
So
So
what's the core emotion that comes up around that?
oh,
Or what are some of the emotions that come up when you look at 49 moves, like
good
around,
question. No wonder I'm tired
yeah.
and I'm angry because I never got to stay. I had some really great places, never got to stay there,
Mhm.
so I've lost homes, I've lost, and just the community. Somebody said to me about community, and I said, I don't really have like a community. Well, no kidding.
Yeah.
You can't. You probably can. I do not have, after this much, I don't have the stamina to continue to create, to create, to create, to replace, to create, to replace. You kind of go like, I just don't have the energy for it anymore.
Yeah.
No other reason, so there's people that I've connected with, and you just lose connection because it's exhausting at this point.
Yeah,
There's
it takes so
more.
much effort to build community and then just to leave again and then to build community and leave again. And you do that 5 or 6 times, 20 times. And it's like, I'm not gonna, it's conservation of energy that the human psyche will do, right? And then so community ends up being things.
Yes.
Things
Yes.
that you're not gonna have to move away from. You can pack it up in a box and keep it with you.
And some boxes I've had for a long time that, essentially got maybe opened and two or three things got taken out, and the move was really short or the stay was really short. And so stuff got put back in the box. And so
Like,
like there's boxes that never even got to be in a home
yeah, yeah,
for decades, literally decades. They just got moved, and they're layers of, the boxes, the towels get out, and the toiletries get out, and then you go like, oh, the books, but then it's not books anymore. That's what it says on the outside, but it's not books anymore.
and so what's interesting in your language is it's almost personalizing the things that says you say they didn't even get to get out and be in a home,
Mhm.
right? And so did I even get to really get
I,
into a home and enjoy a home and create a home? And there's so much of the feminine that thrives in creating home, creating a nest, creating, right? And so then having that loss of I didn't even get to be like come into a home, and then we project what we would want onto things and animals. My friend was saying, we were talking about animal sexuality, and it can become very like traumatizing as you look at how certain females are mated with, right? And we can project our female experience onto animals when they have just a present experience. And so we can do that with things too. Like this really wants to be up on the mantle. This really wants, right? We project those kind of feelings into things, especially when they're your community. So what do you want to experience instead of this?
mm, I don't even know that I can actually even say that yet.
Yeah.
That is
So that's something to think about. Is that's the question to ask after we get through this is like, what are we creating instead? Because we're recognizing, we're in the recognition stage of the transformational process. And then we get to go through the release stage next week. And then we get to really figure out
Mhm.
what we're going to play, right? It's really fun. So thank you so much for sharing, Catalina. That's really beautiful
Thank
and
you,
brave to
guys.
share. And I honor you for your vulnerability, and also just to like welcome us in as your support. Like we're here, um and we love you, and in all of the messiness and the cleanness and the organization and the non-organization that we all have within us, right? So beautiful. Thank you so much.
So the
Um,
other thing is too, is the irony, because I'm a professional organizer.
Amazing. Yeah.
Right? But I can't organize myself.
Yeah.
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 So there's that desire. So I do it for others.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
completely organized for others. And I went, isn't that interesting?
We're gonna play.
Yeah.
I'm excited for our next session.
Me too.
There's a lot to unpack and go in our session next. So that's gonna be really good.
It's going to be my marriage and divorce. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. And then those happen.
Yeah, this is really beautiful. Thank you so much. Amanda, do you want to share what you've discovered, uncovered?
Sure, yes. So as I said, I started with one and then I realized that the other one was more affecting me. So what I did mine on was my relationship with church. Because I'm really struggling with that right now. And I realized why. I realized that, I mean, there's religion is obviously a very touchy situation for anybody. But the reason why I'm feeling grief around it is because the situation that I came back to when I came back to church is completely day. And going that I was going to, it doesn't feel like home anymore for a lot of for a lot of reasons. And so it was interesting to me though, on when I'm writing down the things, how some of the things were both negative and positive. And so I really just kind of put a lot of thought into that as to why maybe, or is it really even negative? And can I just focus on the positive, or do I need to bring up that it is negative to me? And I guess I think the reason why I'm struggling with that aspect of it is like the teachings that I've been learning are, if you speak it, you speak it into presence. And so I think that there's a fine line around speaking it into presence and not relieving it from you, getting it out of your system, communicating it so that it's no longer a part of your grief or a part of what you're experiencing. And so I guess that's, I just get really stuck in like defining things, and I've been doing a lot better as getting out of like the right wrong energy and just it is, and dropping into gratitude, and that's been super amazing. So yeah, but anyways, I think that I grew up in the church. Just a really quick synopsis is I grew up in the church and I left when I was 16 and I came back when I was 31. And when I came back, it, like I said, was a wonderful experience. It felt like home. It was a big part of my healing and recovery in a lot of different aspects. And it gave to my children what I had growing up, which was a positive spiritual foundation, which I believe is one of the reasons why I am where I am today. And it was really important to me to provide that to my children. And so, and then it turned from that into like the drama experiences, things that I've never experienced in church. And my dad is no longer the branch president. And then me having like this weird conflict with the president now and the people, and like my list of people on the negative side is really long, and I just wrote their names because there was a bunch of situations around them. I don't want to spell it out really because it would take it forever. But then I realized that like at the end of it, it's like But I think another thing real quick too, that got to me was throughout life, I've always been somewhat of a chameleon. Like I can fit in anywhere and everywhere from, the doctors, the rich and famous to the homeless people. Like there's no scenario that I've entered that I wasn't able to show up in a way that I can relate to people. And I really love that about myself. But then here I am in this situation where I'm supposed to be at home at church and I don't feel like I fit in anywhere for the first time ever. And so that was really like weird. It was just really weird for me. But then somebody said something to me that really made it make sense, was like, well, if it was still like it was before, would it be easy for you to transition and go to a different ward because that's what your kids need, 'cause she'll be going to high school down there? And I was like, no, of course, that would be really hard to leave. I wouldn't want to. But so these situations are kind of pushing me into where I actually decided to go and need to be for my kids. And so I appreciate it on that level. But yeah, it was just like these just hard situation after hard situation, and feeling like unsupported and just like unseen, and without getting into too much detail about the drama, it was just very uncomfortable, and I felt very hurt, like on like a core, like just really hurt. um but then I was able to communicate with one of the ladies that was like centerfold around it this a couple days ago, and it didn't feel like uncomfortable, and it didn't feel like I was angry with her anymore. It was just felt like this, just just this is just where I'm at, and that's where I was, that's where I'm at now, and I'm doing really good. And so that's really a positive thing. But I really am excited to learn what the next step is, because even though it doesn't sting so hard, it still feels like
Yeah.
there's just something there about it that makes me a little upset, or whatever it is.
Well done doing the work despite the fact that it wasn't even like fully understood. Like a lot of it's like, I don't know why I'm even writing this down or bringing it in, right? And there is this kind of idea that don't speak negative things into existence. But there is power. I always say, speak your problems into three sources. One, God. Two, your journal. Three, your therapist or coach. Those are the three sources to speak what's going on, what's the hard stuff is, because they're not gonna feed into the problem. They're not gonna feed into that energy. They're not gonna grow it. Right. And there's no real guarantee that any other source won't. And a lot of times when you start, yeah, I know my church, it was so bad when I felt there was so much drama, right? And so it depends on who you speak to, and it's really powerful. Our words are powerful and
Mm.
what we speak into them. And there is power in speaking to them to acknowledge them, because the first step in transformation is recognition. And if you're not willing to speak into it, and especially if we're verbal learners, and like when I speak things, sometimes I'll be like, oh yeah, sometimes I have to talk through it in order to get clarity. I need to write it down and then go, oh, okay, that's where I'm off, right? So it is powerful to speak, and it's part of the recognition process. So that's why we do it. But you have to be very careful of who you speak it into, who you speak to about it. Does that answer that question for you?
Yeah, absolutely. That really helps, because yeah, I am very, very cautious about who I talk to this situation, especially about, because like my mom, he was just the branch president for 8 years. My mom, they've been lifelong members, and so I don't want them to think that I'm like backtracking and going back to like a bad life or whatever. But um I feel very confident and happy in the place that I'm at, and like you and I discussed, like, okay, I'm very clear in how I want to show up and what I'm willing to do and what I'm willing not to do. And it feels very comfortable, and I'm really proud of how I feel right now and how I am right now. But if I were to say some of these things to certain people, it would just be like, you know.
Not the fears of like, she's not going to be like us or do what we think is very best for us. So it can come from fear, it can come from love, but we just want to like come to there are ways to come to clarity. There are ways to come back into peace, which is basically what we're going for, right? If you recognize that there's suffering in some way, where do we need to step into the love? Where do we need to step into forgiveness for ourselves, forgiveness for the situation? And so recognizing it is that first step. So it's really great. And so we'll go into the next step, and I will tell you how to get to the next step. But is there anyone else that wants to share before we move into the next step in this process? And what are you working on, and how's that showing up for you?
I just want to say thank you to Catalina. I think that you helped me actually look at something I haven't looked at yet. Because I started my timeline and it was like, oh my gosh. I've done something similar with this prior, but it's like such a good exercise to go back. And when I did it, like it became a big mess because I also was realizing I kind of do this thing where I'm really good at connecting and seeing energy and things. So then I put everything out, and then all of a sudden I was like, wait, I don't really know where to go. So, anyways, I just want to say thank you because I ended up looking at my moves too while we've been on this call, realizing I think that's actually where I need to look more at. So,
yeah, and it's something that when we look at what grief is, it can be moving. It can be changing religions or losing your religion. My friend I was just talking to, she also left the church, the LDS church, and it was devastating, like so devastating. And she's never done the grief recovery process. And she goes, well, I mean, for us, it's not as bad as other people. And, like it could be worse, or at least we have each other, or, right? And we talk ourselves out of feeling bad. And it's oh, at least he didn't sleep with 40 women. He only slept with 20, right? Like at least she died on a Wednesday and not a Thursday. Like we just say these things to try and like make ourselves feel better. But grief is real, and we can't just talk ourselves out of it. So yeah, moving is a very real thing.
Yeah, the
so
thing
I,
I'm reminding myself is don't judge and don't minimize. Don't judge, don't minimize. And so when I did the first page and then it didn't start fitting in, then I got frustrated, and then I had to give myself permission to like start over. And then when I did 2 pages and then it still didn't fit, and then I didn't really want to, I wanted to like cram it all in there, and then I wanted to minimize it, not put everything in there so it would fit on the page. I went, no, actually start over again and start over and put it all in. But I worked on it all day Sunday, literally all day Sunday, and I just kept giving myself permission to really put it all in. Which is, yeah, and in the book it says don't judge and don't minimize.
I love
because
that.
yeah.
that's I wanted to minimize so it fit on one paper, and so actually so that I could look good, so that when I shared I had this nice neat little thing. And then I'm going like, no, but there was just so much resistance and conversation in my head about just that. And I went, okay, keep doing the exercise until I actually, I'm in awe of it. Yes, I'm sad about it. Yes, I'm conflicted about it, but I'm actually in awe of it. I have never looked at this like this in my entire life.
Yeah, it's magnificent.
I would have
You're
started.
a great example of someone who leans into the discomfort.
Yeah.
I think we'll see a lot of that in this mastermind, of like how you're like, that makes me uncomfortable. Okay, I'm gonna do it. Like
And I knew you guys were the perfect group, so I knew I wanted to do it Sunday so I could have it by today, because I knew this was the safe place.
yeah.
There's my community, I'm not going to share this in my community. Now I may with 1 or 2, but trust me, No, I'm not going out soliciting remarks or input because there's a lot of grief in that already. You know, the loss of just agreement or help or whatever it is, you know, in this whole thing, like you're
Mhm.
saying, communities, that I lost communities when I moved too.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question, Catalina?
Sure.
I'm just dying to ask you, how is this the first time you've ever calculated how many moves that you've done?
Yes.
Well, that is that is so cool. I am so just honored to witness that.
Yeah.
I used to say, oh, a dozen or 15.
Wow.
Mm.
So when I got to, and I started doing them, and then I went, okay, wait, there's a lot of them. And I started going like, how many are there? Right. And then I started counting and I got like up to 30. And then I kept thinking, no, there's more. And then when I actually got to, there are 49, like 49
That is insane.
different moves. And I went, that's actually freeing. It's a scary freaking number, but it's already in the past. But it's actually freeing to look at it and actually know that, knowing like it's not negative or positive. It's a knowing now that I go, oh, I had all this other expression. That's why I said it was like peeling off my skin. That's why I told you guys, because every time I hired somebody or I had somebody come in, it was like literally just ripping my skin off every time I tried to go through a box or throw something away. But I couldn't figure it out and I couldn't explain it. Or if I told them, they just said, power through it, you know, all the
Yeah.
platitudes. And I couldn't be with that. Well, now I'm looking, I'm going like, well, no freaking way. Duh.
Yeah.
I mean, duh. Anybody who's had 49 different losses of anything, there's a cost to that.
Especially without dealing with it, right? Like we just go up. It's like when I had my daughter and I wanted this beautiful birth and I ended up having a really traumatic C-section. I just got that baby in my arms and kept going. And it wasn't until I started to, I was pregnant with my second, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to do that again. Oh my gosh, that was traumatic. Oh my gosh, that wasn't okay. Right. And I talk to my midwife and I have these conversations. But before that, it's just like you just keep going. Like you move and now you're into another job and another relationship and another. And so we don't pause. We don't, and it's simple. So I love that we're gonna actually learn this process. We're gonna be able to, this is like a gift to the world and a gift to ourselves. So anyone else have any shares before I get into, okay, Brookie, yeah, I felt like there was one other person.
I have a
Hi,
question.
everyone. Yes, someone has a question.
I want to hear your stuff, Becky, but I wanted to ask Paige one more question. I think I'm thinking that whatever the next step is will help with this, but I'm like realizing that I have a story that I've already done that work, so I shouldn't have to be going here again. And like it's too much stuff, you know? Like I realized when I was talking about it. Like, so I guess I just wanted to throw that like out there so you could kind of pull that into what you're
I love that so much. And I love that you brought that up because like my chart, I realized like I started to do it this way and then I realized, oh, it's actually this that's really, really hurting. You know, like I thought it was the loss of my marriage, but I've actually done the grief recovery on that. I've like worked through that. I've done, and this process has actually healed a lot, but it's this one relationship that has been so hurtful. And just actually this past week, something happened and it was so triggering to my entire nervous system that I was like physically ill. And my immediate reaction is like, I hate that I still have this reaction, right? I hate that I'm still hurt by this. I hate, like, I make myself so wrong for being like so impacted by something that I just want to not be impacted by. It's like Catalina being like, I hate that I just can't unpack this stupid box. I've done all the personal development work. I've done all of Allison Armstrong and Landmark, and I'm like the guru of personal development. I can't even unpack this stupid box, right? Like I am that way. I am like teaching about relationships, and this one guy that I met and my soul collided with his. And the fact that we can't be together is still so sad. It makes me cry right now, right? And I'm mad that I still feel this, and I've done the work, and and so it's part of it. It's part of the messiness of it. Like Jolene, like I shouldn't feel this anymore. It's been so long. Like we make ourselves wrong for feeling this. And so Brookie, go ahead, and then I'll move into this next part.
Nice.
It is. It's just thank you for all of the shares, because it is so emotional, and that's what this grief work is. And yeah, that's totally what I've been experiencing too. Like I don't want to be impacted, but I am, because we're emotional beings, and we have these hurts and these ups and downs. I wanted to just share what my chart looks like, so that the
Oh, way down there. Oh yeah, way down.
and so it's just visually like, this is a roller coaster ride called life. And I've been really upset with that it's so up and down. I think like I feel so much. And so I think that's what this grief work is really looking at it and going, no, feel it. Like look at it, feel it, and realize it's okay. Like the ups and the downs are okay. I like the ups. I'd rather not have the downs, but that is sort of what life is. So I wanted to just say thank you for all of your shares. And at the beginning of the call, I was in this weird place of like, should I stay and let her finish my haircut? So I just got a haircut
It looks
today.
so good. I was gonna say I wanted to interrupt, but I stopped myself from interrupting.
Thanks. And yeah, it just feels so good. So and the shares that you've all given and the space that this is really so important. This week I've been acknowledging again and again, like, wow, I have a lot of grief, and I'm really excited to know how to do it, what to do about it, so that I can process it and it's not hanging on me. Like I feel it like heavy on my chest, heavy on my shoulders, and I often just go there, like in the different parts of the day. It's like that's where my mind goes, is to the grief. And so that's probably a
That's
good
the
thing
heaviness of
for
it.
you.
That everything feels a little bit heavier when you have this. And so it's like, yeah, lifting the weights off the shoulders.
Yeah, so thanks for what you're bringing, Paige.
In the event that we did, I sat next to this girl that chose to break through this limiting belief that her emotions are too much, right? And it was really powerful to see her kind of work through it and go like, no, my feelings, like feeling all of me and feeling all my emotions is brave and powerful. And it's actually courageous and a powerful thing to do, to feel your emotions. And I felt like I should just push them away, or I shouldn't feel so much all the time, right? And it's your superpower, and it's also something to look at. Like let's bring your emotional home up a few levels, right? So that we feel it all. It's just home is in this place that's a little higher vibration, happier, more joyful.
Yeah, let's do that. Enough of the muck, the slow energy of grief. It's exhausting, Catalina. I can't even.
Let me say that this is the third time that I've done a grief recovery.
Yeah.
So I've had other issues that and I'll share at some point in time, not today, but like I can tell you about eating cereal, one scoop at a time, and it's fine because those are resolved. And I never got to those other 2 times. But whatever I worked on then, it is like, oh yeah, and I had cereal for breakfast. It's like, so just, Kelsey, it's just like nothing, so I know it works. I know
Yeah.
it works, but whatever, in those times was not ready for this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I'm ready for this.
Mhm.
So
It's like healing with
breathing more.
Yeah.
So I love the simplicity of this process. One of the things that I would encourage you to add to your chart if you don't have it already is the emotions. So it may be, I moved here, I left here, I had this relationship, I did this. But what are the emotions? Is it unworthiness? Is it longing? Is it sadness? Is it adventure and excitement? Is it like physical pain, right? What are the feelings in your body? And so just making it more of an embodied experience of acknowledgement of how your emotional body felt. We are noticing where our physical bodies were in a lot of this chart. But and maybe mentally where you were at, but include the emotional, physical, and spiritual bodies and acknowledge what they were experiencing in those. And the chart can get pretty hairy, but the whole point is just to make your chart complete, because once your chart is complete, you're going to then start to write a letter. So the classic grief letter would be to the person that died, but it could be to the home that you never were able to stay in. It could be to the relationship that you wanted to have with that person that never got to be. It could be to so figure out kind of who you're writing to. It could be to the church, right? It can be to your partner that hasn't shown up for you yet. This like, hey, I thought we were going to have a life together this time round and actually like do this, and you haven't shown up for me. It can be to someone who's still around and still in your life, but it's caused a lot of grief. So the thing with the grief letter is we never read it to the actual person. You're not going to actually read this to the president of the Mormon church or to, to your husband if it's to your husband, right? Like that's not what we're doing. But you are going to write a letter. And this letter is going to really, it doesn't have to, it can be like 1 to 2 pages. It doesn't have to be, but it kind of, if you can bring all this down into the emotions that you felt, into what happened and then what you felt, it's really getting these uncommunicated emotions onto the paper. Typically, if you wrote it right, it's going to make you cry. Like, I wish this had happened. This should have happened. And I'm going to actually include some of the prompts that really helped me in writing mine. I actually don't have them. But it's really like, I wish this had happened. I was hoping for this. This really hurt. This is this is like what should have happened, or I wish you should have done this. Kind of the shoulds, the would have, the could have, the things that didn't work, and you're just going to write it down.
We're just gonna should all over it.
Yeah, should all over it. And
Should all over it. Like,
Okay.
this is the way you should have been. The church should be this. The church should be home, and it's not, right?
I should have felt supported. I miss this. I miss what we
Yeah.
hoped for, what we wished for.
Yeah. So I'll include that in the email with the recording, and but it's simple. It really, it doesn't have to be long. Just make sure it has everything that's the core pain, hurt, source of pain. And then next week we'll go through it. So it is really important that you have that letter written for next week. and show up. We will be supporting each other in that. I know I have tons of resistance in doing this letter, so I encourage you to do it before Friday. So put it in your calendar, write it down, force yourself, maybe have a writing buddy and say, we're going to get on Zoom and we're going to write our letters together. So if you want to have like a buddy in the process, then reach out on WhatsApp and say, who wants a buddy at 4 o'clock on Thursday? I'm going to be on Zoom and I'm going to be writing my freaking letter, right? Whatever you need in order to get it done. But this is where we find the freedom. And just think, by next Tuesday, we are going to be dancing on clouds, ladies. It's going to be so good.
Paige,
Oh,
are we setting up a WhatsApp as well for us to communicate and
you're
maybe
in
set
it,
up-
Ricky. You're in it. So just look
Oh.
for, it's called Spiral Up Mastermind.
Oh, good. I didn't see that yet. Let me just double check. It's in WhatsApp. Okay.
Yeah.
And will you post the Zoom link up at the top so it stays at the top all the time so we can find
Oh,
it?
that's cool. I didn't know I could do that. See, you're so techy.
Not. The tech babe, you know. Remember the organizer? Yeah.
That's super helpful. Thank you.
Okay,
Good idea.
so I put this at the top. Do I star it?
It's
Pin.
you
I pin it.
You
No?
pin, no, you pin, no, up in the, at the very, very top. So
Okay.
go up where it says Spiral Up Mastermind,
Yeah.
touch Spiral Up Mastermind,
Okay.
and then where it says Media Link.
Oh, you're so smart. I just posted the link because I thought I was gonna like pin it, but I'm
So,
going
and
to
it says-
add a
it
media
says
link.
Media links or docs, media links or docs, touch link.
Okay.
And
And links.
you can put it up there so that it always shows up.
I don't know how to
Mm.
set it up so it's
That
always
way-
up there.
That way you can always find it because it's always up in the banner. Yep.
But now what do I do?
Oh, they upgraded it. It actually is there. Okay.
Really?
You used to have to
Hey.
put it up there. So, but now it actually, so you guys, if you go to the top banner, the very top banner where it says Spiral Up at the very, very top, and touch that. And then go down to the, whoops, the blue thing where it says Media Links. If you touch that, then it up at the very top, touch link. And then it has it.
In there. Okay.
You used to have to upload it.
And anytime you just go to clarityzoom.com, it should take you. But I've been putting this like super fancy because anyway, if you just go to clarityzoom.com, it still takes you to this. So
Okay.
you're good to go. Any questions about the letter? Yes, Jolene.
Not a question about the letter, but as I go back and I read, it's funny because I'm like, did I not do this because I didn't want to do this? But as I was reading my notes from last week, I have page 35 in the book, and I hadn't looked at it until you gave it to me. But I guess I'm confused at, other than I have the actual grief recovery book, where does it talk about all of the timeline and everything? What is that in this booklet?
It's in your grief recovery handbook. Yeah.
It's in here.
Yeah, if you flip through, you'll find the chart.
Page 71, I think it is.
Yeah, I see that, but that's what it's actually 70.
Page 35 in your book is this.
Well, that's why I was like, I'm confused. I wrote page 35.
If we did,
I was just saying, if you want to put your chart in here, you can put it in here. But it's probably super confusing because it's actually like just a blank page in your, so if that's in your notes, you're like, page is crazy. If there's nothing on page 35.
Actually, page 35 is something completely different. And that's why I was like, I have no idea.
oh,
What? Oh, wait, you're at the very back of page 35?
Yeah.
Oh no, that's the very back. So there's 2 workbooks in this one workbook, so that's even confusing too.
Oh my.
So
Okay, so
there's
there's
2 page 35s in this workbook. I didn't even explain that, but like month 2 is a totally different book. And I made different pages because I wasn't sure if I was going to print each workbook separately. So it's page 1 in the middle of the book. I'm just wanting to mess you guys up.
Yay, she found it.
Yeah.
I did mine on graph paper, so.
Yeah,
no, that's just funny because I was reading my notes as we were talking because we had this class and then I left so I could go to that event and I haven't been back and I'm like, I don't even know where the assignment was. So sorry about that.
I have a question. What happens? Okay, I was super intrigued by your timeline and how it started here and then went here and turned into a whole new one. So what happens when you're working grief recovery and it collides into another scenario that might sting more and you are working them kind of simultaneously? Like, does that make it messy and less effective, or is that more effective because you're realizing that that's where the pain is? I don't know. Does that make sense?
Are you asking me or Paige?
Paige.
So I just put in the kind of like a format to start your letter in the chat. And if you look at it there, you're basically just saying like, Dear Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or Dear Bishop, whatever it is. I want to review some things about our relationship that I want to let go of and I want you to know about, right? So those are the 2 big intentions of a grief letter. It's communicating uncommunicated emotion that are causing grief. So what do you want to express? What do you want them to understand, right? That's why you can talk to someone 30 years after something, they lose something and they're still talking about it like it happened yesterday. Because they haven't been able to communicate it in a way that was actually witnessed, heard, and cleared.
Okay, so I guess then what my question is would be, when you're going through it and you realize like you just keep finding other things, and because I guess I'm feeling like the want to like jump around like my brain, like I want to be like, no, do this, no, do this, no, that, okay, that's not that bad, do this. So in doing that, like I don't want to like open up old wounds and like not thoroughly go through them, or not thoroughly do the healing process on them. But I guess I just like want it all at once. Like,
Yeah, so what I would do is I'd like kind of put it into categories like, hey, like this happened and I resent this. I like, you start to go at the beginning, it's, this wasn't okay with me. This is what hurt. This is what was painful. This is how it hurt. This is my feelings around it. And I accept that you're now gone, or I accept that this isn't the right path for me, or whatever it is. I accept that it's not perfect, but I can still stay in it, whatever your expression is. And I forgive this, this, and this. So I like that it's like, this is all the things that aren't okay. These were my emotions. These were my resentments. These were my regrets. This is what I really need to express. And then this is what I'm accepting as reality right now. And this is what I'm forgiving. Again, forgiveness letters are not ever to the people that we are forgiven, but it's really, really powerful to communicate that and acknowledge like what you're willing to forgive. So the formula, I will send this in the email because I do think when I start writing this letter, I'm putting it here just in case you're like jazzed and you're ready to do it right after this call. But there is a process, and what I find easiest to keep my mind from going, yeah, and this and jumping all around, is just go into all the things that it wasn't okay about, what you're accepting, and then what you're willing to forgive.
In one topic, right?
Yeah. Well, it's like the topic that you're doing the grief process around. So like for you, it would be around the either the moving that has to do with the like the impact, right? It's like I resent that I've had to move 45 times, like whatever it is, universe, whoever you're writing it to, but like this is this is what was hard about it. This is what I'm angry about. This is what isn't okay about it. This is what I regret about it. And the impact is I have 100 boxes and I can't even get through them. And like, this is why, and it feels like this, and it feels like that. And then you go into like, I accept that, like, this is my reality, and I'm forgiving myself for what I've done, what I have for all these things. And then you can even go into like, what I want to create is something new. But in the end of the letter, you always say like goodbye. It's a closure letter. It's like goodbye to moving any more times in my life, right? Like for you, you're like, I'm dying in this house. Like this is like the next 40 years, I'm going to be here. Like this is, but whatever it is like goodbye to the transient energy of not staying in one place, or goodbye to not feeling at home in my community, or goodbye to the grief that swallowed me whole. Whatever you're doing, goodbye to the person. And so if someone's passed away, or this relationship with this like this whatever twin flame or whoever he is to me, like goodbye, you know, I'm moving on and I'm going to step into a new timeline.
And what I heard and what Amanda was saying was, can you do 2 topics at the same time, or should you write a whole letter for one topic and then write that same format, another letter for the second topic or third?
Like for Catalina's example, there's a bit of a, like, this is what is my, like, this is the moving, but the impact is the hoarding, right? So there can be these 2 letters in one, because like, this is the impact of it. And so the intention of the letter is to move through whatever's holding on to all the stuff that's causing a sense of stuckness or heaviness in her life.
My experience from having done it before though too is you can pick any one thing. So like I'm going to pick moving, and that will include like the bankruptcies, because of course moving has a financial impact. It has, you know, a situational, and it includes the bankruptcies, but I'm not going to speak to the bankruptcies, but they will get healed in the moving. See, so I wouldn't ever do just a letter to the bankruptcies. Like I know from the first time I did this was to heal my first marriage. And a whole other things got healed that I hadn't even written down. So I know, just like focus on one, and there'll be
a ripple effect,
random healing that occurs, that they could have been in the same time frame, because your mental knows all of it. Your head has all of it in there. So when you start addressing one thing, your brain doesn't go, I was just married and it was one day and one incident. No, it was years. And there was a whole bunch of stuff, and there was things in that one that got totally healed. And I never even wrote it down. But then when I started, you know, later on when I was going like, oh, okay, wait a minute, this happened, and but it had a whole different experience. So
yeah, I'm excited to see the ripple effect.
yeah,
That's gonna be powerful.
Yeah.
Totally. I love that. And there's that beautiful ripple effect that happens. So I know the time's up, but if you want to reach out about any questions you have, or you start writing and you're like, wait, what about this? Just reach out either on the WhatsApp or to me. We're here to support. This is the heavy lifting. And there's always excuse me, a little chaos before new order. And so expect it, and then you won't go into suffering around it. You'll just like, oh, hey there, you know, like, oh yeah, I expected you to show up.
Hey,
And
heavy
that
lifting,
helped.
come on over because I got boxes. Yeah.
Right? We should have a box party with you. We just did that with our parents. Brooke and I were just up with my parents and we had a major box party and it was so freeing. You should talk to my
And
mom. She's like,
my
I
mom
feel
just got lighter as we
While
saw her
you
through
guys
the
were
weekend.
talking about that, I couldn't even hear it. It was so confronting and upsetting for me
Yeah.
to listen to you guys because you guys had so much freedom and I couldn't figure out why I couldn't have joy for you.
Ah, interesting.
Not until just now, when you said that, I went, so there's an experience. Like when you guys were doing it, I was going like, oh, nope, gotta go now. Can't, nope, nope. I was like checking out on that one little thing because I couldn't experience your joy. There was no joy in it. There was no ease.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
And if there were moments like my mom has always wanted to read a lot and she has hundreds of books. And we were like, at one point, I was like, hey, I went through some of your books. These are some I suggest that you get rid of. She got so upset. Like, I'm not going through my books right now. Like, I'm going to sit and look at my books. Like, don't go through my book. Like, it was this trigger for her, you know? All the other
I've
stuff
been
she was
waiting.
able to do, but like that was like a no zone, like no-go zone for us. Like I was like, okay, we're not doing the books. Like we're not doing the books. But there's an emotional thing, and it didn't have to do with the books. It had to do with this dream that she had that she was going to be able to read these books that excited her and really like
And have
it was letting
retirement.
yeah,
Yeah.
and maybe some shame and guilt that she never took that time for herself. Like there's all these things in the human psyche of what should have been and didn't happen, and it causes sadness and it causes grief if it's big enough. So yeah, Laura, let's all just send love to Laura's nose.
I have that on my chart, broken nose. Oh,
Oh, wow.
that's
Thanks,
why
guys.
the shirt's not broken because I caught a softball with mine. So
Oh, well,
maybe I
it's a good story. You were snuggling with your
Yeah.
Abby, and so it's a good reason to have a smash nose. But
Yeah.
we'll just
Yeah.
send you tons
It's
of-
just a painful one.
well,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Keep the pain away at least.
Yeah.
Well, we
Mm.
love you. You're an amazing mama, and you're amazing women. I'm so grateful for you. So grateful we can
grateful
we can
too.
play together, even
Yeah.
when it doesn't feel like play sometimes.
Didn't at the beginning.
It's like being on a sports team and running hills, right? Like we're gonna be so freaking awesome after this. So
Way to go, everyone, for doing the work.
yeah,
Thank you.
Guys,
yay.
Thank you, everyone.
my life.
Lots of instructions. Love you lots.
Yeah. Bye.